Steve, I can't believe we're already coming up on our 50th episode of Talking Sopranos, and we're almost done with season 4.
I can't actually believe we made it this far, and we've had a lot of amazing guests already, but we got a whole lot more coming up.
Yes, sir. In the next few weeks, we're going to have both Alla Kluka, who played Svetlana, and Bobby Finaro, Eugene Pontecorvo, on one show. It's going to be a doubleheader. We have Peter Riegert, who played Assemblyman Zellman. He's coming on the show. And a real show business legend.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
We say legend a lot in this world in today's modern times. This is indeed, without a doubt, 100% a legend. Mr. Frankie Valli will be our guest for the season 4 finale.
And season 5 is going to be just as big, Michael. The infamous Father Phil will join the show. We also have 2 of Tony's Gamadas. Oksana Lada, who played Irina, and Leslie Vega, who played Valentina, will be coming on. We also got Will Jenowitz, Meadows' boyfriend Finn, Matt Weiner, writer of The Sopranos and creator of Mad Men, plus a lot more actors, writers, producers, and special guests.
We also have a very big guest coming up, one of the main stars of The Sopranos. A lot of you fans have been waiting a long time for him, Steven Van Zandt.
Oh, yeah.
Silvio Dante in the flesh will be here. Tony's consigliere, he's coming on the show, as well as Maureen Van Zandt, his wife on the show and his wife in real life. She played Gabriella Dante.
We're 50 shows in and a lot more coming up. I want to thank all the fans for their support. Please keep watching and keep listening, and thank you.
Okay, we have a special show. We have 2 guests this week. We recorded them a little while ago, but we put them together in one special show. The first is Mr. Al Sapienza, who played Mikey Palmice. Here it is.
He's here by popular demand, yes, because we've gotten so many requests. He was a huge character. He only lasted, unfortunately, 1 season. The first season, he did 10 episodes.
Right. One of the first Soprano villains, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cocky guy. He played him great because he's nothing like this guy. This guy is a really good guy, but played a creepy character. He took care of Uncle Junior. He was Uncle Junior's right-hand guy before Bobby. He did 10 episodes of The Sopranos. He's done over 275 different films and TV shows.
Wow.
And I'm talking this guy, he works all the time. House of Cards, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Godzilla, Lethal Weapon 4. We could go on and on and on and on. I believe he played Ringo in Beatlemania on Broadway. He was born in New York City. He's an accomplished singer, musician, and he's talking to us today from New Orleans, where he's down there working. And let's hear it for our friend Al Sapienza, who played Mikey Palmice. Come on, Al. Come on down, baby.
There he is.
Great to see you guys always, really. It's great.
Same here.
Thank you
Thanks
for
doing
this. Really, thank you. So were you really Ringo?
Yes.
The original?
77. I wasn't the original, but I was in the show from 77 to 82. The original was Justin McNeil. But I was in it from 77 to 82, saved up all my money, moved to LA and went to acting school.
And now, did you ever meet Ringo?
I never did.
Did you ever meet any of the Beatles?
I met Ringo once.
Really?
At the Grammy Museum, yeah, at a party.
He's a little guy, right?
Ringo's, yeah, he's small. He is. He's got a big personality, though. Well, who the guy who played McCartney was Mitch Weissman? Was that his name?
He was a total lookalike. He had, and that's why that show was a hit. Mitch had the charm and the stage presence. He looked exactly like McCartney. He played bass exactly like McCartney. He sang like him, and the women loved him. And he made that show a hit. He was amazing.
Did he play left-handed bass?
Yeah, he did for the first 4 songs. He played the Hofner upside down, then he had to flip it back. But he taught himself to do I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You, and Help. And then he flipped it. And by then they loved him already. And nobody gave a crap that he wasn't playing left-hand bass anymore. You know?
Wow.
So you started acting later on. So at what age did you start acting now?
Well, I graduated from NYU before Beatlemania, right? So I was 16, 17, 18, 19. I took acting classes with Stella Adler, who was the teacher at NYU, and it was terrible. I thought she was crazy. I thought the whole thing was crazy.
Really? Stella Adler herself?
Yeah, I thought she was nuts.
I did one class with her. I thought the same thing.
Oh, right, Mike.
What? Just very eccentric? What?
She was. It was like I was never going to learn how to be successful in that class. I was never going to learn how to be a working actor. They were all nuts. So I was very nervous about how I was going to do this for a living. Very nervous. I found this guy Milton Katselis in LA, and he taught me how to, one, act, and two, how to get work and be on the set where people like you and so you can make a living. And I finally met a guy after 5 acting teachers because I was in a panic. I was like, I'm never going to make a dime and I'm going to starve. You know?
But in the meantime, seriously, I always joke every time I see you. You were constantly working, whether it be films, big films, small films, independent. You're doing guest star stuff all the time. You're always working, man.
This is my philosophy. I don't like reality. And I'm not joking around. I don't like dealing with checkbooks and the Republicans and the Democrats. I love being around creative people and making crap up all day. So I just love being on a set. I love working. I think we're the luckiest people on earth. So
that's a good approach, actually. The world of the imagination and living in that and the gypsy kind of carnival life of an actress. There's something to be said for it.
Al, The Sopranos, tell me the first audition. Did you read for Mikey? Did you read for Paulie? Did you read for other roles?
I'll try and make it as short as possible. I was in LA for years. I was in LA from 82 to 98. As soon as I got The Sopranos, I wanted to get the hell out of there. I never felt at home. I never felt good. I was always a New Yorker at heart. So while I was out there, I did a bunch of what's called equity waiver plays. If there's 99 seats or less in the theater in LA, they could pay you $16 a night. I did like 20 of them. So I was doing this play at the Tiffany Theater on Sunset. It was a beautiful equity waiver theater. There were 2 theaters. Some rich woman owned it from Studio City. She owned the whole building, the whole high-rise. So she loved the theater. I'm doing this play called Misconduct Allowed in 1992. And in the other theater, this new guy to TV, Jason Alexander, was doing Truman. So we shared dressing rooms in the back. We became really friendly. So now jump to 1998. I have a little role in the 1996 Godzilla. And I was invited to the premiere at Madison Square Garden. Don't ask me why. And this is no BS. I'm sitting, I had a small role. I'm sitting in front of Barbra Streisand, Rudolph Giuliani. I'm like the 3rd row. I don't know, because I went by myself, I guess they just threw me a ticket. So while I'm there, my agent from LA calls me up and goes, Jason Alexander wants you to read for this movie called Cherry Pink. It was the first movie he directed after Seinfeld. So I'm all excited. I was in New York for this screening. I go into the audition, and usually I'm very, I know who I'm reading for, and I do my research, but it was for Jason. I didn't know who the casting director was. So I go in and read for Jason. I'm all excited, and I knew at the end of the meeting I wasn't going to get the role. Because when friends or directors tell you, look, you did a good job, great job, thanks, they mean it, but you also know they want to tell you now because you're not getting the job, but you did a nice audition. So I was sulking out of the room, and the casting director, this is exactly how The Sopranos happened for me. It was sheer luck. I'm walking out, casting director goes, are you interested in doing a series? And I'm thinking to myself, no, I want to sell pizza for the rest of my life. Oh, yeah, I want to do a damn series. So she tells me to go to her office. I'm going to get a videotape. So I'll get a script and the sides. And I went to her office. It was Georgianne Walken, and I forget who was there. I can't remember the assistant's name. And I didn't even pay much attention to it. And what also she said to me, Steve, she goes, we're having problems casting this role. And they explained later, they didn't want a I used to have a total Brooklyn accent. I was born in Bay Ridge. In LA, for 4 years, I spent a fortune to learn how not to have the accent, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted, Mikey was supposed to be a little bit, more refined, the GQ guy and all this crap. So I went home, and then I went to my mother's and father's that night in Rockland County, and I watched that video with my sister Joanne. I was stunned how good it was, the pilot, with Christopher there shooting, Tony punching the guy in the leg and Christopher driving his Lexus. And then I got nervous. I was like, this is like a Scorsese movie, this friggin' thing. The opening on the painting, and I thought it was amazing. Then I got nervous. So I went, I read it Silver Cup. They called me back again on Friday. So that's two auditions. Then they called me back on Monday. And I didn't even know what the hell was going on.
So wait, the first time you read for Georgia Ann, and then you read for David?
No, I never read for Georgia, and they brought me right to Silver Cup to read for a bunch of people.
And was David in there?
Yeah, David was definitely in there. And I did it twice. Then they called me again, and I got the role. Within 2 days, it was the first day of principal photography in Kearney, New Jersey for the first episode. And I did the scene where after that sit down with you, Michael and Uncle Junior, and he walks out and goes, "Hey, fuckface-itis," that was like the first day of work. This all happened within like 6-7 days. It was one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me in my life, to be honest with you. I was in the right place at the right time, So
we all were, I guess. We all know that it takes a lot of hard work and a touch of luck for sure. I think anyway.
What was your first, the first day on set? Was that scene you're saying, that the sit down?
Yep, the sit down with you and Uncle Junior and Tony, and then he walks over and I'm in the car and he goes, "Hey," and I go, "What is your nephew crazy? He likes to play with trucks, retarded." He goes, "Hey, that Jerry Lewis wouldn't like it." I said, "Oh, that's special district." He goes, "Maybe they should make a telethon for fuckface-itis, Mikey."
Right. That was the first day. That's right. Okay.
The first day. And you remember also Jimmy and I improv'd a lot.
Did you?
We just started improving, and then the next day they said no improving on this show. Like, we improv'd a few things in that scene.
Really?
Yeah,
that's some of the few. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it was.
How did you approach Mikey? Like, what was did you base him on someone you knew? What were you trying to do with him? Like,
this is what I did. When I read it and I realized, I'm going to shoot a guy in the eye. I'm going to shoot your friend Brendan,
Anthony DeSando's character, yeah.
I don't have to play this guy tough. He kills somebody. I shoot someone in the eye. So I wanted to make him a little stupid. And so I wanted him to be a little bit Joe Pesci, a little bit James Caan. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. James Caan and Joe Pesci in one guy. And I wanted him to be a little funny, like a little goofy, like he was a little dumb. So in episode 4, David, when I threw Rusty Irish off the thing, David came up to me and, you remind me of David, Michael. Because you're a writer, you're an intellectual guy. You've always reminded me of David. And I think David cast you as himself. Because you
I don't know about that. We were born in the same hospital. Did you know that?
That's funny.
David and I, in Mount Vernon, New York. Yeah.
David doesn't have as big an ego as Michael. Trust me on this. Believe me.
You may be right.
David's ego is nowhere near Michael's.
You may be right. I don't know. We'll see.
I love this.
Al, so obviously, like you said before, you're from Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, which I grew up not far from there. But the thing about you, which is why you work so much, and I know you play politicians, you play fathers, you play grandfathers, because you don't come off like the big Goomba shit, No. You know what I mean? You play an Italian American, and sometimes you don't. And do you think The Sopranos helped you a lot or hurt you?
Helped me? It was one of the best things that happened to me in my life. I was acting.
I'm talking getting roles.
Definitely. I was an actor for a real legitimate actor for 18 years before The Sopranos. If I was a cop, I would have got a pension in 2 years. And I was making a living. I always made my health insurance. I wasn't famous. I was never a series regular. And not many people knew who I was, but thank God I made a living. And as I said, I paid this woman in LA for 4 years for me to learn how to speak without any kind of New York accent and have the middle bullshit. So when I got that job, I knew I was going to work the rest of my life, and it legitimized me within the industry. Like that was, I want to thank David every day for that year. It totally got me jobs. Totally. Can I tell you a really quick funny story?
Yeah.
Please.
From 1982, when I went to LA, to 1990, I changed my name to Alex Statler. And my father was a Brooklyn Goomba, and I always didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be the Goomba. I rebelled against it because my dad and his friends. So I'm Alex Statler, and I'm getting roles, as teachers, as doctors, little roles in movies of the week and crap. So then The Godfather 3 comes out, and I can't even get a freaking audition, So
They only want to see Italians. They don't want to see Alex Statler.
So I couldn't get an audition. I'm only playing I changed my name back to Al Sapienza. I only got mostly Italian roles, Well,
that's what David's big thing was. He wanted to hire Italians.
I had a friend he was Italian, but he could pass for a lot of different ethnicities. Right. So he had many different headshots where he would accentuate one type of nationality over another with different names and different resumes. So some casting people knew him as one guy. Another casting person would know him as this other guy. And I said, you should just let them know you're this guy who can play all these roles instead. But he would actually go as different people to auditions and would get work and would get hired.
That's great.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
They don't want to know the truth anyway. Acting is all a show.
That's true.
Go in and tell the truth. Just give them what they want, and then you solve their problem and you go to work.
That is true.
Hey, Al, David told us specifically that when he told you were getting whacked, that you tried every which way to talk him out of it.
All right.
He told us specifically, Al Sapienza had all these storylines. Why don't we try this? Let's do this. Tell me about that.
All right, and I hope David likes me because I love him.
No, he likes you. He likes you.
So this is what happened, and I never told anybody this. Around episode, so David comes up to me at Paterson, New Jersey, and goes, "I didn't envision Mikey Palmice this way, but I love what you're doing with the character." And I was like, "I'm in. This is great. So I actually moved out of LA. And I thought I was going to be on the show for a while, right? And they keep renewing they would buy me in 4 episodes, not like you guys that they did the whole year. They do me every, so I figured, and then my manager calls from LA, and Eileen Landris goes, "We love Al." So I'm like, great. So I move, and I never told him that to make him feel guilty. So he calls me into his office, episode 7 of the first season. And I'm telling you, Steve, I almost started to cry. I literally almost started to cry. Yeah. I knew that show was great. So he goes, he goes just like this. He goes, "You're getting killed at the end of this, don't you?" And I'm sitting there, and I was like, "David, please." I said, "Let's get a co-star for the last 5 episodes. Kill him. We'll give me a sidekick." And he goes, "No, it's not
give me a sidekick."
That's what I said. And he goes, "No, this isn't that kind of show." So I'm begging him. I'm literally begging him. So then, and this is the most interesting about this whole exchange. So I said to him, he goes, "Why are you so upset?" And I said, "I don't know. It's a great job. The words just roll out of my mouth. It's so well written. I think it's going to be a gigantic hit." This was his reply. And he doesn't remember this. He goes, "If we get picked up for a second season, I have nothing else to say on the matter." Meaning he was done with The Sopranos in the first year. And if you think about it, it was about his mother. He was going to kill her at the end. They changed their mind about Tony putting the pillow over her face and killing her. Originally, they were going to kill her. So that whole first year was about his mom, right? Then he said, and I don't know if America's going to get the humor. Those were his 2 responses. So I begged him. I tried to come up with stuff. And then, we're not even on the air yet, guys. We're not even on the air. We don't know. There's no work in New York. There's only Dick Wolf and Law and Order. I was just so happy to be working in New York City. So I die. I'm dead. I'm out of work. I'm dead. I don't get to hang out with you guys a lot anymore. It was tough. And then the show goes on the air, and it's the biggest show in history, right? Yeah. It's like, and I'm like, shit. So this was the thing, and I told Jim Gandolfini this, and he said to me, I never thought of that, Al. I was at a turning point at that point. I could have been completely depressed. I could have got drunk all the time. I could have and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look at this as something to build on. I'm not going to say I got killed in The Sopranos before I was making great money. I got killed, right? I said, I'm not going to be depressed about this. I'm going to use this that I was on The Sopranos. I did my best, and I'm going to build. And it was tough. It could have gone either way because I was very depressed.
Yeah, you've worked. Listen, you know what? I've said it before myself. I made it to the end, close to it. I would not have handled it well. I'll tell you right now. Because, obviously you're not hanging around with everyone. You were friendly with everybody. There was more money to be had as the time went on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it had to be kind of tough to swallow, to be honest. And the show kept going on and on,
No, and listen, I was happy it went on. I had no negative, nothing. But it was tough as me an individual, like to pick up from this and get my shit together again, because that was a blow, man. And I didn't take it personally. It wasn't because of me. But it was a blow. And I remember the last time I saw Jim alive was 12/12/12. And I told him that, and he goes, Al, I never thought of that. I said, yeah. I said, but it all worked out. I said,
it worked out. You work plenty, man. In the long haul, it probably was the best thing.
Did you move back to LA? Or did you stay in New York?
I stayed in New York, but I still have that rent control apartment. So I work as a local there, and I still keep it. But I stay.
And you're also you work in Canada a lot, also, don't you?
Not only do I work in Canada, I became a Canada landed citizen. So I could join ACTRA and I could work as a local. I work there all the time. I love that place.
Yeah. Hey, you're a hustler, baby. That's what you got to do.
Thanks.
You're the man.
And let me tell you, two of my favorite scenes in that show is one, when you show up with the hunting outfit. It was the best. And two,
that is hilarious.
That fight over Janice.
I just watched that last night. It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Each other.
I know.
Al, I couldn't thank you enough, man. You're a really good guy. I always love talking to you. Keep up the good work. Congratulations.
Thanks for coming on the show, Al.
Keep on going. The fans are going to be very happy.
Thank you. And I'd love to see you guys. We got to have a dinner in a few months when COVID's over. I'm serious.
Let's hope so.
We will. Sounds good.
Take care, my friend. Thank you very much, Al. Bye-bye. Appreciate it. That was great, pal.
Bye, man.
There you go, the great Al Sapienza. Good guy, always in a good mood. And he has worked, and seriously, it may have been the best thing. I know at the time he didn't think so, but not typecast. He plays all different kinds of roles in 257 TV and movie roles. That's a pretty good fucking.
And a very memorable character.
Oh yeah,
the show.
He was very good.
He was very good in that character is very, very, very memorable, and important. So great. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We have a very special guest today. I think the only actor on The Sopranos who played two characters.
No. One of the only, I believe, Vito. And I believe Cusimano. She played the sisters.
You're right. Okay. So the most prominent of the three.
More absolutely prominent. He's a fellow Brooklynite.
My first professional acting job was an off-Broadway play, and he played my father. That's how far back I go with our guest. Born in Brooklyn. Appeared in over 30 different films and TV shows, including Don't Go in the House, which is... I'll get to that because I saw that before I ever met him. NYPD Blue, Crooklyn, Blue Bloods, Dragnet, Law and Order, Third Watch. 47 episodes of The Sopranos as both Philly and Patsy Parisi. And what many of our fans may not know is that he has a PhD in data processing and operations research, teaches at Kingsborough Community College.
In
Please
Brooklyn,
welcome.
and is a lifetime member of the Actors Studio.
Lifetime member of the
Don't
Actors
leave that
Studio.
out.
Please welcome Dan Grimaldi.
Well, thank you.
Danny boy.
That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. And I want to thank you guys.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
So you guys are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. And I'm so grateful to be on the show tonight.
Appreciate that, Danny. So let me ask you, Danny. So you grew up in Brooklyn, correct?
Yes.
So how does a guy, because you're a little older than me, but we grew up in the same place, in Bensonhurst, and Dyke, Bay Ridge, all that area. I grew up right there with you. I was a little behind you. How does a guy go from Brooklyn to becoming an actor? Because not that many people have done that there. So tell me how.
It's a strange story. I, as was said, I have a PhD, and when I thought I was going to be a corporate vice president, corporate president in the computer world, and I went to work for Bell Labs. Which was one of the top companies in the country, and as a member of technical staff. And the first day on the job, I hated it. I just hated. I think I hated 9 to 5 more than anything else, because I was an academician, and I was used to having time off. And I also hated making your own work. I didn't understand make your own work. Give me work, let me go home. And one day I woke up and I said, I could be an actor. Steve, Mike, I have no idea where that came from. I was in plays in grammar school. I played Ferdinand. I played the Bee in Ferdinand the Bull. I played Clement Clark Moore, all plays in grammar school, but never touched it again.
How old were you when this revelation came to you?
23.
23.
But you had graduated college. You were married.
Finished graduate school, started work, and was now on a road to disappointment and bitterness. So I kept complaining, and my wife at the time said, why don't you go study with Lee Strasberg? And I said, who's Lee Strasberg? I didn't know who he was. She was much more cultured than I was. And I said, after the holidays, being Italian, we didn't do anything until the holidays were over. So when the holidays came and went, I started complaining again. But then I went in for an interview at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. And there was a secretary there, I don't remember her name, but she tried to convince me to come and start that day. And being an academician, I in my head, well, I start on Monday, chapter 1 acting, chapter 2. When the 12 weeks are over, I'm an actor. I mean, that's what I thought.
That's what I thought.
Never knowing about ongoing learning, about trying to get a job, any of that. But the funny thing was, Lee used to give lectures at Carnegie Hall. And so I'm living in Brooklyn, working in Jersey. I was always going in the wrong direction, working in Jersey. So I drive into Manhattan. It was at Carnegie Hall. I think I'm going to get a parking space. I drive in at, it's 6 o'clock. I finally get a space about 6:15. I walk right down the corner on 57th and 6th. I walk up the block. I get to Carnegie Hall. I get to the door and I stand there and I say, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. You're just afraid of failure. You're afraid that you're not going to succeed in what you've chosen as life's work. And I said, yeah. And I turned around and I started walking down the block. I got to the little Carnegie Theater, which is not there anymore. And I stopped. I said, this could be your destiny. You could be throwing your destiny right out the window. You've never made a decision, because when you were good in math in those days, you got scholarships, fellowships. I got money to go to school. And I said that you've never made a decision. You've always gone along with the path that was laid out for you. And this might be a destiny. And I said, you're right. I turned around, I walked in, I listened to Strasberg. Next day, I went to my first acting class with Ed Covens. And I sat down and I saw 6 people on the stage. They were doing method exercises, and they didn't seem aware of each other. And that's insanity. And I leaned back, and this is the truth. I leaned back and I said, I'm home. This is where I belong. And that's the story.
Wow.
Sorry to go on so long, but that's
wow. Everybody has a different path there, and he just had an epiphany, huh?
Yep.
And
out of the blue.
Did you move to LA at one point?
I never lived there. You know, I went to LA after Don't Go in the House in 1980, and I had 2 kids at the time. So I would stay out there for 6 weeks and then fly back for 6 weeks. I did that for a year, and then I decided that I would stay in New York and raise my kids, and that was a life choice, which I made.
You know, when I was a kid, so when I was like in my early teens, we used to watch horror movies every week, me and my friends. And one week it was don't go in the house. And you're the star of the movie. So the opening credits is Dan Grimaldi, Don't Go in the House. So when I got my first play, my first professional job was Half Deserted Streets.
Right.
And it was Dan Grimaldi's playing my father. And I was like, this is full circle. You know what I mean? I was a fan before I knew you. And that was with you. And
it was in the casting session because your creativity, your talent, your ability just shone. And even at 21, we knew you were going to, I knew you were going to be a big success in this business.
And that was Bobby Moresco, who went on to win the Oscar, right? Did he win it for Crash, right?
Crash, yes. Crash, yeah.
He co-wrote Crash with Paul Haggis. And Victor Colicchio was in Half Deserted Streets, who went on to write Spike Lee's Summer of Sam. So it was that was an interesting experience. That was my first play. But did you do? When did you start doing theater? Like when did you start getting?
1972. Strasberg used to tell us, study for 2 years, and then go out and work. And I asked him, how do you get a job? Nobody could ever tell you how to get a job. Well, you guys know that. Nobody can tell you how to get a job. So I started in 72. I started doing off Broadway. I did Joe Papp, and I worked in every bar, every basement, every off Broadway house. And then in 78, I got my first off Broadway role in Mama's Little Angels, Louis LaRusso. So, I mostly did theater, and now I've gone back to mostly doing theater.
When you were coming up, who were some of the other actors that we would know that you worked with, or you were around, or you were, part of? What scene you were part of? Okay,
well, a lot of the plays that I did, many of the people never went past that level. So, I think I'm one of the few that ever went past that level. But as you said, I worked with you. I worked with Victor. I worked with Drea. I worked with Aida, with Sharon.
Drea, what did you do with Drea?
I did her first play, which her mother wrote. I played her uncle in her first play. I don't remember the name of it, unfortunately, but her mother wrote it, and I did her first play. That was her first play. I did Kathy Narducci's first play too. Mama's Six Goombas and a Wannabe. And your first play, and Aida and I worked at the wedding for quite a while together.
Danny, what was Lee Strasberg like? Were you friendly with him?
Intimidating. I would go study with him, and then I would go downtown, go uptown and go to the studio. And I was so hungry to learn. I followed him around, but I remember, this is a funny, I remember being in a bathroom, standing next to him in a urinal, and he was about 5 foot even. And I just said to myself, this little son of a bitch intimidates the shit out of me. Jesus Christ. He was intimidating, but you wanted his praise.
Did he have a big cock, Danny?
I didn't look that closely. You have to ask
a little wife. Guy might have had a big cock. I don't know.
He might have.
He banged Marilyn Monroe, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, no. His son did.
Oh, okay. So tell me about The Sopranos.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Did you actually just ask him if Lee Strasberg had a big cock? Is that where we've gone with this now?
We have a podcast. I'm curious.
You were very curious.
I'm curious.
Maybe we should do a special segment.
Hyman Roth. He's
right.
very curious. He's a legendary guy in the business.
Job. But I wanted to finish that with we all wanted to be praised by him, and you wanted his praise. So you were constantly working towards. He was kind of a father figure in acting, and I got a lot of praise from him, a lot of praise. So that was something that kept me going. Kept me going forward as an actor.
Now, being a member of the Actor Studio, lifetime member, is a big deal. I don't know if everyone knows out there. Do you think that's helped you in your career, Danny? It's opened doors?
No, career-wise, no. Craft-wise, yes.
Craft-wise, but not career-wise.
It's the toughest stage in the world. You're really you're criticized by your peers, but you always learn something. And the thing of it is, you can always go back. I tended to go for like 5 years straight, very heavily, and then go away, work, and do other things, and then go back. But I felt that every time I got on that stage or watched good people, which most people at the Actor Studio are, I learned something, and my craft was made better by anything I did at the Actor Studio, and which is what it's all about. I mean, its purpose is for us to grow in our sense of truth and creating truth, and that was what has continually happened. Still,
and you've also taught, right? Don't you teach acting?
I taught at Lee Strasberg. I taught privately, and I had some really good students, and unfortunately, none of them went on to any kind of fame, but a lot of them are still working and working here and there.
So how did The Sopranos come about? Tell us about how that happened.
What a gift! What a gift for all of us, really. I auditioned. I auditioned for what was the name of the card game? I auditioned for the card
Sunshine.
Game. Played a dealer. Yeah.
Sunshine. That was Paul Mazursky's part.
Yeah.
So the show had already been on the air. You had seen it?
Yes, I had seen it, and you guys were doing it, but every actor in America wanted to be on it. I mean, just get on it. That's all. And that was a feather in your cap.
You came on season 2, Dan? Season
2, episode 1. Yeah. I was the first new character introduced. Philly was the first new character introduced after it became a hit. And I never asked David about this. I will someday. He was written in. Actually, he summarizes the first season. He has a quick monologue. He talks for about 3 minutes where he summarizes what went on. And actually, they started shooting the second season in August. This was cast in October. So this was kind of, I think it was an afterthought. I don't know. I never asked David about it, but I always felt like I was lucky on so many levels. And when I auditioned for it, everybody wanted to get on it. And first I auditioned for Sunshine. I was disappointed, but now I'm very glad I didn't get it. And then when I auditioned for Philly, I remember, I went in like I was like the 13th guy to go in, and David pulled out a sheet and he said to me, do you mind reading another scene? And I always laugh about that. I said, no, I'm not going to read another scene unless you give me the job. No, so and I said, okay, I beat the first 12. Now let's hope I can beat anybody else who walks in the room, because obviously he likes what I did. So I read that scene, and then a couple of hours later they told me that I had gotten the job, and I was ecstatic. I was just so happy because the scene I did was mostly me. It was me and Gigi, me and Johnny Fiore. But I had, I drove the scene, and it was nice. And you guys were in Italy at the time, and Alan Coulter was great. And I asked Alan Coulter if he could not kill me. And he said, sometimes it's better when people die on this show. I said, okay, all right. But
at that time, there was just Philly. There was no Patsy.
Just Philly, no Patsy. What happened was, you guys were in Italy, and David came back, and they were watching the rushes, he and Alan. And afterwards, Alan called me up at home, and he said, Danny, I want you to know this. I think actors should know this. He said, David was sitting in the room, and he just threw his head back, and he said, who is this guy? I like him. Why'd I kill him? I don't want him dead. And he said, I want you to know that. He said, it doesn't mean anything except that I think you should know that. And when I got off the phone, my oldest son was, and I was angry. And he said, Dad, what are you angry about? I said, well, I like the praise. It's good to be praised, but I need a job. I said, I want to work. And then it became talk that I might go back. And then they wrote Patsy in the last episode of season 2. Just a quick scene where he brings in the fur coat, and then I had to wait to find out until August. So that was a long wait.
Wow, that's a
And
long wait.
I told my youngest son, I was in Italy. I went to Italy, and I said, James, if anybody calls from The Sopranos, no matter what time it is, no matter what, no matter where I am, find me. And he called me in Florence, and he said, Dad, you're going back. So,
that's a good phone call. So they hired you for one day as Philly, where Gigi
2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
So as far as you know, that was it. You're done. And then, of course, you were anxious, the anxiety of waiting, because the thing becomes a bigger and bigger hit, and you want to be a part of it.
Right.
So yeah.
I was happy with the 2 days, Steve.
Yeah,
I was very happy with the 2 days.
Terry told David, he said, David, you could bring him back as a twin, but you only get one of those for the whole series.
Right. So I was lucky on so many levels. That's how I feel. And then of course Patsy ran for 47 episodes. And
47, that's a lot of episodes. Yeah, I think I did 53.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I was the captain of the B team.
Did you know Tony Sirico before the show?
Yes. I knew him from the neighborhood. I knew him for many years, and then when he became an actor, I knew him through other people. But I knew him from the neighborhood. I knew Tony a long, long time.
Did he have wings when he was younger?
No.
No wings?
Yeah, jet black hair. He was a very, 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 very handsome guy.
Yeah, he was quite a looking man. I've seen some photos, and
he was striking and a tough.
Oh yeah, we know that.
Physically, he was a tough guy.
Yes,
he was tough.
When what was your way in for the character? I mean, I guess you could speak about either or characters, but like, was it based on someone? I mean, you knew the cast, right? So you have to find something. Your bandwidth within the whole thing, right? So what was your approach, and what did you want to make these guys into?
Well, I wanted to make Philly, of course, was a loudmouth, and it was funny that not that my father was a loudmouth, but when I watch Philly, I see my father.
Really,
my father was a tough. He was a little guy. He was a tough, strong longshoreman. He grew up in South Brooklyn with all the mobs and stuff, and he was a Garfield boy, and he was a tough guy, my father. So when I see Philly, I'm shocked, and I always thank my father. I say, well, I must have channeled you because he passed away, but I must.
The Garfield, that was a tough street gang. Yeah, right in downtown Brooklyn in the old days. Back in the Garfield Street, right?
It was a theater, the Garfield Theater, and they were the Garfield boys. They were the Gallows and the Profacis that were down there. It was a lot of mob activity around, Dyke Heights where we grew up, and Bensonhurst. There was all of that when we grew up as well as him, and so I wanted Patsy to be first of all, I wanted him to be different from everyone, and I always believed that the quiet guy is the scary guy, and so I wanted him to be quiet but yet to have that violent streak inside, and that was basically.
Oh, Patsy was quiet. Patsy was he was different than the other guys.
Yeah, he was.
He stood out because there was no there was none of that really out of Patsy.
Yeah, and that they also wrote for us in a way. They knew I had a PhD, so there was some of that too. But I think basically I wanted him to be quiet, strong, but yet a killer. A killer. And they brought, the writers brought. Chase and Terry and everybody brought that out. And in fact, the funny story about Patsy was when they told me, when we did that short little scene with Patsy when first introduced. And John Patterson, rest in peace, was the director, and I love John. John had such a way of making the actor feel like he made the decision.
Oh yeah,
and he just led you.
Absolutely.
So he said to me, Dan, what are you thinking? I said, I'm thinking glasses, and I didn't realize this until about a year ago. I'm thinking glasses, John. He said, me too. That's what I'm thinking. So out of the trailer comes a PA with three sets of glasses. Black horn rim, another set that was a little weird, and then those wire glasses that I chose. And so he said, which ones you like? And I said, well, I like the wire ones. I like those. He said, yeah, me too. And he too. Years later, I realized He set that up. He took the other two. He knew I wouldn't pick the other two glasses. That I would pick the ones I wore. And so and the funny thing was, I realized years later too, they were identical twins. I didn't have to wear glasses, and I would have been more recognizable without the glasses because I don't wear them in real life, except now.
Do you want me and Michael to call you doctor from now on?
No, of course not.
Of course I will. I'll accommodate you, Dan.
No.
I don't know, Michael. He's a little standoffish.
No,
but,
I don't wear my.
I'll call you Dr. Grimaldi if you like.
I don't wear my credentials. No,
I got no problem.
What was your favorite scene, if you have to say, as an actor on The Sopranos, where you felt you really nailed it, you really did what you wanted to do with it, and you know?
Well, the scene with Annabella with Gloria in the car. I mean, that was my favorite scene. That was a tremendous scene. David just gave me one word. He said, you're giving her a gift. That was his direction, her life, and then I took it from there. And a lot of people love that scene, and I love doing it. And she was fantastic. Annabella was just great.
I've said it in other episodes. I was surprised they didn't send Christopher or Silvio or Paulie, somebody that comes off more intimidating. I had said that like a Paulie Walnuts type, but they decided to send Patsy.
Right. And he pulled it off.
He did the job. She disappeared. Let me ask you something. Who is your favorite character on the show besides me? And I know that.
Besides you and Mikey.
Besides me, yeah.
And Mikey and Tony. Well, it would Edie.
Edie Falco, Carmela.
Yeah. I mean Jimmy, of course. I don't think we include Jimmy I think we all know that he was
right.
our favorite, but. Edie would be my favorite.
And your favorite episode? Do you have one?
The Pine Barrens. I think Pine Barrens was I think it was the most hilarious, the funniest, the most well acted episode on the show. I still laugh at it when I see it. I say, Mikey, you and
that was fun.
You and Schirripa did just a fabulous. It was
certainly a fun one, a fun memory.
What about Danny? What about directing? You seem to me that you would be a good director.
I directed just once. I directed a play, and I loved that I didn't have to learn the lines. That's what I loved the most. And I found myself playing every character. That was it. But I still love acting. I love acting. I love to act. I mean, above all things, except my family and my friends, I love to act. And if I could just act on stage or in screen until the day I die, I would be a very happy man, because that's what I love. I love to act. And, if directing opened up, if somebody asked me, I would do it. Of course, yeah. I enjoyed doing it the one time I did it, but I would prefer to act.
I loved about directing. What I love about it is you don't have to go through hair and makeup and costumes. I
don't like that?
I can't stand going through hair and makeup. I mean, I love them.
What job do you have when you go out early in the morning and they put makeup on?
I hate it.
Comb your hair.
And I love the people.
I hate the makeup.
They're the best people because you're with them every day. And I have very close relationships with a lot of people I've worked with in hair and makeup. It's not about them. It's just me. I just can't stand sitting in the chair and getting makeup on and combing my hair. I'd rather just come.
It's a great way to start the day.
Danny, would you prefer, besides the money, prefer stage acting or on camera?
Stage without a doubt. Yeah.
You do, huh?
Stage, yes.
Interesting.
Just because of the people are right there, because you're interacting with the live human beings. Acting on film and TV is just as rewarding in the final product, but on the stage, it's the only venue that the actor is king. Because when the curtain goes up, nobody can tell you what to do.
That is true. And the stakes, it's kind of like that high wire act. The stakes are very high when you're on stage,
Stuff that goes on, Steve. I mean, you forget. I was in a play once. I went ahead 10 pages. I had to go back and figure out how to get back 10 pages. You forget your lines.
Oh my God.
You dance around. You just hurt.
I did
depend on your partners.
I did a 2-act play, right?
I did a monologue by myself, opening a play. and I couldn't remember. It was like preview, and I couldn't remember any. I mean, I was blank. I was
horrifying,
suffering, and I wanted to get off go backstage, get my script, and come back out. I was suffering.
There's nothing worse.
I got through it, but it was agony. And the director was not very happy, nor the writer.
I did this 2-act. It was a David Mamet play called The Woods. It's 2 acts, 2 characters, a man and a woman. At the end of the second act, I start doing the end of the play. And the actress is, she's looking at me like a deer in the headlights, and I'm thinking she doesn't know what she's doing. She's gone up. And I'm doing the lines, and I'm driving it. The curtain, so the lights go down. I go backstage, and all of a sudden I realize I just did the end of the play. And I go, white, and I apologize to her. So the second act, we start from the beginning of the second act, and when we get to the end, we improv some new ending to this play. That must have just been god-awful. I can't imagine it.
That stress, I could do it out. Danny, I love you. I couldn't thank you enough for doing this. It's great seeing you. Seriously.
It's my luck to be on The Sopranos and to have lasted so long till the very end. And I'm so grateful to you two guys to having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to have
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys.
See you later, man.
Care.
Bye-bye.
All right. There you go, man.
All right.
There you have it.
Grimaldi, Patsy, and Philly Parisi of The Sopranos.
He's a good guy. He's one of the good guys, and 47 episodes, a lot of episodes.
And a fan favorite. A lot of people were asking for him. A lot of the fans are writing in, asking about Dan, and,
You ask, we deliver here at Talking Sopranos.
Usually not. It actually doesn't go that way. You ask, and we may deliver.
We may or may not. Let's take a break and then get back to the episode. Hey, man, 2 great interviews today, huh? 2 great ones.
Yes, sir.
We love
and
them.
A great episode to talk about. Season 4, episode 9. Whoever did this, one of my favorites, really. First aired November 10th, 2002. Written by Robin Green and Mitchell Burgess. This is number 12 of their 17 episodes. Directed by Tim Van Patten. 9th out of the 20 that he directed.
Joey Pants. This is where he won the Emmy. He submitted this episode.
Yeah. You submit, usually for an actor, you submit 2 episodes that showcase you. And he submitted this in the Christopher episode, the Christopher Columbus episode. I was up against Joey Pants that year for the Emmy for supporting actor, and he won, deservedly so. I think in this episode particularly, his work is phenomenal. It's one of the best performances of the whole series. He's just amazing. I remember that night. So what happens if you win, you go up on stage and then you go backstage and there's lots of press and all that stuff. And then after the Emmys, there's the governor's ball, which is in the same building or like in a tent outside of whatever the Shrine Auditorium.
And only the nominees go to that, right? Only the winners or the nominees? Because not
the governor's ball? I don't know. I think.
Did we all go? I didn't go.
I think everybody goes. So that's when I saw him again. And he was really, really, really happy that he won. And he gave me a big hug and he said, I really wanted to win. And I said, good. I'm glad you won. You deserved it. He was really, really happy.
And
Michael Chiklis gave him announced it when he won.
And the next year you won. And who announced it for you?
I don't remember.
And to tell the truth now, what does it feel like that you lost? Were you jealous? Did you have your balls twisted? Were you just happy to be nominated? What was your feeling?
Listen, in this bit, one time I remember Robert Duvall was at the Oscars before the Academy Awards. He was nominated, right? Going in the red carpet. And they said, do you want to win? Somebody actually asked him that. He goes, of course I want to win. He goes, you don't think I'm competitive? He goes, these are some of the most competitive people in the world sitting here. You think they don't want to win? I want to win if I'm playing you in ping pong. If I'm playing you in rummy, I want to win. So, of course, I was happy that Joey won. I will say it's a very different experience winning, not just because you win, but it's the experience of it. So you go to the Emmys, you've been several times, right? Now it's
Sure.
if you're in television, this is, the best people in your field. It's a lot of excitement. They fly out to LA, you're in a hotel, there's a party the night before, you get picked up in a limo, you're dressed up, you're on the red carpet, all the stars are there. You're in this auditorium and people are getting awards. It's one thing to go, it's one thing to be nominated, but when they call your name, if you win, the whole focus of that big event is now on you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in that room suddenly all the attention is now focused on you for the time when they announce your name to the time you get up, give your speech, and leave the stage. That I wasn't really prepared for. It's very weird. It's almost like tripping or something. It's pretty bizarre.
You wrote a speech? Did you prepare?
I never wrote a speech. No,
Well, you had it in
I
your
an
head.
idea.
You thought about it. I remember being so
Yeah.
happy when you won. I couldn't have been happier for you. Honestly, I was so happy. And Drea also won the same year.
Drea won, and it was the first year we won Best Show.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember being
Which
so
is
happy
weird
for-
if you think about it, right? That was season 5 or 4? No, this is 4. Season 5. So Sopranos didn't win Best Show till season 5.
It was always weird, I mean, I remember going to the Emmys and so Desperate Housewives was the big show. Remember one year, whatever year that was, big show. With Eva Longoria, Terry Hatcher, the other girls. 4 of the 5 lead girls get nominated for Best Actress. I believe it's Best Actress or Best Supporting. 4 of the 5. The next year, nobody got nominated. So what? They forgot how to act? They weren't good the next year? I mean, it kind of goes the way, just the wave, the popularity.
Trends. Yes,
it's more
yes.
like that. I mean, listen, nothing against James Spader at all. He's a wonderful, terrific, talented guy. But I remember at that last, I don't know, it was the Emmy Awards that were in the round, and when we won it, and Jim, they said James, and everyone expected James Gandolfini, and James Spader beat Jim out in the last season of The Sopranos.
Right.
I think for Boston Public, whatever, and it was just kind of weird. And I felt, this was the last hurrah. Of course, The Sopranos won, and it was just, for a number of years we didn't win. It just kind of goes like the trend. I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'd never be nominated. I would be ecstatic to be nominated. That would be, but of course you want to win. We're all competitive, and no matter what you do. We have a charity softball game you want to win, So, so much for that. But, Joey had been around a long time, Joey Pants. But
this episode, he's
great.
Deserved the Emmy for this. He's so good in this episode.
He is a terrific actor. And I remember him telling me how many years it took him to, he had struggled for so many years, and how many years till he finally found his groove and felt like he took him at least 10 years to what he felt he knew what he was doing.
He's done a lot of big stuff. Big
movies.
Risky Business, was he 48 Hours?
Midnight
The Matrix.
Run. Midnight Run.
Yeah.
La Bamba.
Right.
Became a big hit movie. I mean,
big stuff.
I think he was in The Fugitive, U.S. Marshals.
The Fugitive,
both of them, Tommy Lee Jones and
Bad Boys. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, we start out. We're in the courtroom, Uncle Junior's trial. The judge is played by Randy Barber, who used to be one of our first ADs or second ADs. And he does a terrific job. You would think he was an actor, for sure.
I think he done some acting, Randy. I think it's Barbie, actually, but I think he's done a few. I think he's done a
What did I say, Barber?
I think it's Barbie, Randy Barbie.
Yeah, it's Randy Barbie. He was the first AD in a movie I did, Fake Fiance, down in Atlanta. Bobby's there, Junior, Melvoin, Beppy. We're outside.
Junior's very distracted by this. He's not very focused on what's going on in the trial.
No, he's talking about he's talking about the early bird special. Beppy said that he got chicken the other night. He got 2 meals out of it. So Junior's in a hurry to get to the early bird special. Allison Park is there.
He sees the newscaster who he recognizes, and he's very excited by that.
Allison Park,
he's in his own world.
Allison Park, if I'm not mistaken, used to be with New York One. Also.
Oh, I don't know.
She's a real anchor person, and they turn. Boom. Junior gets hit with the microphone. He falls down 7 steps. They make that very clear. 7 steps. And he rolls down. I remember when we shot that. We shot that on the Newark courthouse, and the stuntman went down them stairs.
It wasn't stunt. Dominic, no.
It was not Dominic, no.
That was a big stunt. No, you don't want to mess with that.
Yeah. We're at the stables. Tony and Camilla come to see Palmice. Lois is there. She's
getting her ready for the toboggan handicap, which is a famous race at Aqueduct in the first week of March. They've had this race since 1890, and the track used to be a downhill slide at Morris Park track in the Bronx. This is before 1900. That's why they call it toboggan. They used to toboggan on this hill, and the horses would run downhill, which I find very weird. But they still have that race today. It's a grade 3. They say grade 1 in the episode. It's not true. It's a grade 3. It's a $150,000 purse. Last won by Mind Control, written by John Velasquez, who rode Carmenuch, Tony Sirico's horse, and Tony Sirico's favorite jockey. It's Palmice is a beautiful horse. Goldie is Palmice's real name, apparently.
Have you met Goldie?
I did meet Goldie once. Yeah.
You met Goldie?
Yeah.
Have you?
Goldie high-hatted me the first time I met her.
Hey, I know
she
how
wouldn't
he
acknowledge
feels.
me, and then the next time she was kind of nice. She kind of recognized me, and I don't know if she knew who I was when we met.
We should get her in here to the studio
as a guest.
To get her in here, why not? Why not?
Andy, check it out.
Probably more interesting than a lot of people. Tony and Carmela. Carmela says she's magnificent. You could see that the second she saw you, she comes over to Tony. Tony loves this horse. You could see it. She said Palmice is ready to go. Tony, you could see her in the race. She busts her heart to win. I mean, he loves this horse. It's very obvious.
He loves the horse, and the goat is there. Goat being this kind of symbol of the devil. And in this episode, there's several references to the song Sympathy for the Devil in connection to Ralph, because we've spoken about this, how Ralph is kind of an emanation of Satan himself and evil. I love the cut at the end of the scene of the horse's eye, and it cuts to the next scene to Junior's eye. I thought that was pretty cool, the way they did that.
Junior's in bed. Melvoin and Bobby are there. Dr. Wong is checking his eyes. He says, I'll be back Monday. His daughter's addressing the Irish Parliament on abortion issues, so he's got to go.
Now, this is why The Sopranos is so deep, interesting. You could say, I'm going away for the week. It could be as simple as I'm not around till next week. His daughter's addressing the Irish Parliament re-abortion issues, which is so specific, such a great detail. It just says
there's a million of these. If you look throughout the series, there's a million of these things, like you say, this layered subtext, which, like you say, you could have said, I won't be here till Monday, I got to go away. And there would be, most shows do that, as opposed to this. He's asking, Junior's asking about, make sure Beppy gets my chicken home. Corrado, you didn't get to the early bird special, Melvoin says. There's another little piece of that. Hospital hallway, Dr. Wong talks with Tony. His CT scan is negative. So far, so good. Doesn't seem like himself. he could be working on a dementia for quite a while, and a blow to the head helped tip him over. I didn't know that happens. So something traumatic had happened, and the dementia / Alzheimer
beat it up.
I guess that's what he's saying, and I've heard things like that. Janice arrives. What's going on? We got to get him the best in the city. Colombian Presbyterian head drama unit, the best. Says that in front of the doctor.
Bad move. Janice doesn't care.
No. Junior's starting to have a little dementia. Tony tells Janet to take it easy, would you? It's embarrassing. Ralphie's office, playing cards with Eugene. Vito's there. It had to be Paulie. He figures it out. Had to be Paulie who told Johnny.
And little Paulie told Paulie, because little Paulie was there. Mm-hmm. This is one of the title of this episode, whoever did this is one of those references to it. Who told the joke? Because that caused a big riff in the family. Big, a little joke snowballs into huge problems for everybody. The mole he says Shamu's fat ass. And then he decides to get even by calling Paulie's mother at Green Grove in the middle of the night and say that he was Officer or Mike Hunt from Beaver Falls, which is where Joe Namath is from, actually, Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Your son, Peter Paul, was found in a public men's room in Lafayette Park, going down on a Cub Scout. Just horrible.
It's really horrible. It's very cruel to do to an old lady. And he's laughing, and it's very funny. The Vito and Gene are really funny. He says he sucked a Cub Scout stick. She's saying it's got to be a mistake. Then there was a small rodent in the rectal passage, a gerbil. She said there's no insurance. She very innocently says, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Will that help? It's fucking terrible. It really is terrible. Very cruel to do to an old lady.
Did you do a lot of that when you were a kid? Prank calls?
I did some prank calls.
Are you into that?
I did,
as an adult or as a kid?
Very much so.
You still do it?
No, I don't do it anymore. Because now you got Star 69. And
now, it is no fun.
You can't do that anymore. But I used to do quite a bit of it. Matter of fact, we used to call a lot of ball players. They would be old Yankees. They had old timers game at the Dunes Hotel, and like in the early, we would page them. That's when they used to page you in Vegas a lot, and we would paging. Just say Whitey Ford, paging Whitey Ford. He would get on the phone. Then we would just start talking to him. People would answer the phone back in those days. You by the pool, we would find out that so-and-so was by the pool, and they would page you. So we used to do a lot of that. We also used to prank call a telethon, local telethon. And we would prank call. You could see the people answering the phone, and you'd say, wave your hand, wave your hand. Used to do that all the fucking time.
Oh, my. Do you know, speaking of paging, Tony Sirico, when he first wanted to become an actor, he went out to Hollywood. And I guess he stayed or he would go to the Beverly Hills Hotel, which was kind of during lunch, there's the Polo Lounge. It was kind of like Hollywood Central. People, deal makers and agents and producers and studio executives and all that stuff. So what he would do was he'd sit, and he was a bodybuilder back then, right? Good looking guy, jet black hair. He'd wear this white Speedo, which he'd get wet and it would kind of become see-through basically. Sitting on a lounge chair, and he'd page himself several times every day. So all day long, you're at the Beverly Hills Hotel, you hear Tony Sirico, please, there's a phone call for Tony Sirico, and he'd walk from his lounge chair or the pool, go inside the whatever, go answer his call wearing his Speedo. And he said he did that for a long time to make sure that everybody would wind up knowing who Tony Sirico is.
And people, he had someone paging him.
He paged himself.
He paged himself. Not even
Yes.
Not even
So
getting a
he
friend
said,
to say
could you
page.
page Tony Sirico in about 15 minutes? I think he's going to arrive in about 15 minutes. You go sit down, and then 15 minutes later, Tony Sirico, there's a phone call, and he'd get up and towel himself, whatever the hell he did.
That's hilarious.
With his Speedo.
That's absolutely hilarious. They don't page more. I guess because everyone has phones, there's no more paging. But it used to be a big deal in Vegas to page. And we used to do that we used to fuck around with that kind of stuff. But I guess it worked for Tony. He finally got a job.
Listen, but I love that the mind, coming up with that idea. You know what I mean? It's very specific, and he's not out making the rounds or an acting class. He's lying by the pool at the Beverly Hills Hotel having drinks. That's his way into Hollywood.
Everybody has a different story. He was backdooring.
Everybody has their own way.
Tony arrives.
Well, I don't know if he was backdooring it, but he was definitely getting paged at the.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm not sure what he was.
He was hustling. Hustling.
He certainly was hustling, man.
Junior, guess who came in? Tommy Formicola, Uncle June. Tommy Formicola died a few years ago. It's the son. He's calling him, Junior sharp at this moment. Jesus Christ, you had me worried for a minute. I'm glad you're feeling better. This is.
They said you flunked your Holstein, which is not. It's not a Holstein. I forget what it's called. It's called the. It's something else, but Holstein's is actually where the last scene of the last episode was. Yeah. The restaurant.
This is Xanadu compared to the courtroom. I'm milking this for everything it's worth. And then Tony comes up with the idea, maybe we're not milking it enough. Maybe we have a case here for a mistrial. Uses the hospital phone. He's going to call Melvoin. He says they charge you a fortune. He's always money conscious, Uncle Junior. At all times.
Very much so. Very much so.
And they do bang you out, like in a hotel room. If you use the hotel phone for a call,
for the phone?
Kill you. Yeah, they kill you on the phone or in a hospital room. They kill you.
Yeah, the extra charges and stuff. And he's very worried about that. Yeah. But this may be a way. This may be a solution to the problem. Might be a way for them to get a mistrial, right? That's the important thing that comes out of this.
Ralph's house, Justin, Ralph's son, and his friend are shooting arrows in the sky. Ralph's in the bathtub taking a bath.
And he's scrubbing his feet with a pumice stone. Ralph has things, there's always references to feet with Ralph, clipping his toenails, his shoes, wearing in the house, something else. He's listening to Leo Sayer, When I Need You, and scrubbing his feet, which is, like, again, the detail, it's... I don't know. It's hilarious.
The two kids are shooting arrows up in the air into a box. And then the maid, Inez, comes screaming, Mr. Ralph, Justin, he's hurt bad. We see Ralph sprint out there. She's panicking instead of calling 911. I mean, come on, Call 911 before she called Ralph. And he's got to run all the way back. Ralph runs out there and... the
and it's horrific.
Backyard. It's terrible. There's an arrow in the kid's chest. It's beyond horrible. Hospital waiting room. Tony and Carmela arrive. Ralph is sitting with Vito and Eugene. Couldn't get any breath in his lungs for 5 minutes. There's no oxygen to the brain. They don't know. Ralph is beside himself, and rightfully
beside himself. The doctor, he says to the doctor, please allow me to introduce myself, which is the first line of Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. There's several of them in this episode. And we see Ralph's ex-wife, who's the mother of Justin, the son, and her new husband. It's a great deal, again, the wife, Ronnie Capozza, Ronnie Capozza, the character, Marissa Matrone, is great. Small part, but she's really kind of takes over there for a little bit. She's excellent. And
she says, you were never there for something always happens. It's never your fault. They were playing a video game. I don't know what happened. She goes after him. He calls her a nasty name. The husband goes after him. He said, you bought her the bow and arrow. Ralph says that you were the one that bought him the bow and arrow, which is the worst gift you could possibly get a 10-year-old kid in a million fucking years.
Bad gift, but they're looking to blame. Ralph's looking at the other kid who actually shot the arrow and like he wants to kill the kid, trying to blame the kid, and Tony convinces him.
Tony puts him up against the wall. Puts him up against the wall, calms him down. But Ralph is insane, and like I say, rightfully so, and he's just not thinking right. Tony and Melvoin talk to Junior. If the court finds you lack fitness to proceed, the trial will be suspended and the charge against you dismissed with prejudice or delayed. Junior's we're packing up, Janice and Bobby. I remember this, if I'm not mistaken, we were out the night before. They honored Dominic at Lincoln Center, and everyone was there. I don't know, you weren't there. Maybe you were working. But me and Johnny V went, and we had tuxedos on, and then we stopped at Pastis, which was one of our hangouts back then. I remember I had
meatpacking district.
I had one drink, but I had a later call, and we went to Pastis, and we were hanging out at the bar, and I think I've told the story where two Secret Service guys come up to us. They show the badge and say, would you like to meet President Clinton, who was out of office by now? And we said, I guess, okay. And they took us in the back, and he was there with his daughter and some other people, and we bullshitted for a while. He's a big fan of the show. So he asked about Lorraine Bracco. You know, Lorraine knows everybody. He asked about Lorraine, and we invited him to the set the next day. And he didn't come, but I remember telling the story to Jim and everybody that, he may call and blah, blah, blah. I think I gave him Eileen Landris, the producer's number, and, if they wanted to come, I thought maybe he would stop by. But whoever gives a fuck out there for that stupid story, but that's what happened.
Listen, you're on a TV show and the former president wants to meet you. It's a big deal. What do you mean? So
I called this. It was kind of a big deal. I remember calling, telling my daughter. I said that the president wanted to meet us. That's two fucking.
It's a big deal.
Two fucking bums in tuxedos. He wanted to meet us.
Were you juiced up or not really?
No, I was not, because I had to work. I had a drink. I think I had a drink at Pastis. Two drinks. The night before, I would never drink. I was not juiced up. Tony says, I got this woman. She runs an elder care agency. She's got an RN that'll play ball. All you got to do is act. That's
Svetlana, right?
It's Svetlana and the Russian nurse.
And the muffin basket. What's a muffin basket? Is it a basket of muffins, literally, or what?
Yeah. And Bobby likes that. Bobby says, Mel, you outdid you, kind of. Look at this muffin basket.
He's paying Mel how much? Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
He sent some muffin basket. Justin's hospital room. Ralph sits at the end of the bed. Rosalie arrives. Ralph is just beside himself. I don't know what to do. How is he? Not as good as yesterday. How are you? She comforts him. He said, I didn't understand what you were going through, Ro. Now I understand. She says he's going to be okay. Everything will be okay. She hugs him, and it goes right to, he's going to be a vegetable.
He's going to be fine. It cuts to her saying, from her saying he's going to be fine, cuts to her saying he's going to be a vegetable to Carmela at Vesuvio. I told him he should go talk to Father Intentola, Father Phil. And then Carmela looks over at Artie and says, there's another one who should talk to the priest. And Artie's flirting with LOD, who's still working at Vesuvio as a hostess. Rosalie asks, is it true he took an overdose of sleeping pills? And she says, apparently. And him and Tony are not talking anymore.
They do a lot of gossiping. And then they wave, and there's a lot of phoniness going on. And, let me answer you. We've talked about this before. These priests must get so much gossip They must know so much
God,
shit.
who knows?
You know what I mean? Who's cheating? Who's not cheating? Who's done this? Who did that? I mean, and another thing which I don't ever understand, go talk to the priest. I mean, the priest has never been married. You know, the priest doesn't have first-hand experience, doesn't have kids. I mean, how does he know? I mean, you know, how would he know about this kind of stuff? How can I go to him with marriageable problems? You know, if I have a problem with my wife, how can I go to the priest? As we've seen time and time again here. What does he know?
That's true.
Supposedly, he never got laid, the priest. So what would he know?
Know much.
We're going to say, Father, bless me, Father, if I have sinned. My wife is a terrible lay. When I bang her, Father, she doesn't turn me on. I don't want to have sex with her anymore. What's his answer? What's the priest's answer?
You got to stick through it. Stick with it
my
because
son.
there's no.
Buy her
there's
some
no divorce,
lingerie,
right?
my son. Buy her some heels. But Father, she's a bad lay. I don't want to fuck her anymore. Stick with it, son. It'll get better. Give me 5 Hail Marys and fuck your wife. What does that mean? It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You know,
I
that's
guess
why
they're just doing the best they can from a Catholic perspective. You know.
at least with a rabbi, you know, he's married a lot of rabbis. They, you know, they have families. They have kids. I think you can relate a little bit more, possibly.
Right. Or some other, like, you know, Paul Schultz, his father was actually a pastor. Was it a Lutheran church or something like that? Married.
They have
kids,
a family.
Yeah.
They know how bringing up a kid, how hard it is to bring up a kid, which, you know, they talk about it. You know, it's hard. It's hard, kid problems. If you don't have a kid, what's the answer?
It's really hard. Yeah.
You know. Junior's house. Bobby, Tony, and Junior talk. Janice is in the kitchen. First question. What's the today's date? So he says a great line, a blonde with big tits and a hat full of Viagra. So Tony and Bobby, Bobby's quizzing him. Tony's there. I remember that day, eating sandwiches. We had big giant heroes, terrific.
So you're
sandwiches.
prepping him for the psychological tests.
And
so
he's fucking around. He's fucking around. What's problem is, he talks, Tony says to him, "Yeah, keep fucking around. Why don't you wipe your ass with the paper? Then they'll think you're a wacko." And he goes, "I lived my whole life with dignity. I'm going to act like a scumbag."
Oh, he didn't like that.
No.
He goes, "You think this is funny? I'm a source of amusement. I pretend to wipe my ass in front of people." He don't like that. It's all fun and games, but that's over the line there, right?
And then, the doorbell.
And then he brings up his brother, the brother
Eckerly.
how they mocked him. Eckerly had, some
mental
kind
illness.
of issues.
He was in a home, and they mocked him all those years. You know, back then, that's how it is.
Until they named that award after him, he, finally he got his just respect when they named the Eckerly Awards.
Q, fuck around. Cause when the government shrink gets a hold of you, you better know how to fake this. I could do it in my sleep. He says, what happens if it doesn't work? Bobby says, we'll get to a juror. And what if that doesn't work? So Junior's worried. The doorbell rings. It's Svetlana and the nurse. Branka.
I think her name is.
And Janice. Listen, Svetlana is...
And she's smoking. She's
one of my favorite characters. I'm not kidding.
She's great. Great.
So good. Yeah. So good. Right. Just perfect. And Janice says, "I want to apologize." She says, "You're a boring woman." She dismisses her.
She says, "Yeah, I'm sorry for I should have never done it, but it did bring me to the Lord." And she's just like, "You're a boring woman."
You're a boring woman. And then she's like anyone cares. I'm crying. He's saying, "What's wrong with you? What's your problem now?" Tony to Janice, and she's crying like anyone cares.
And why is she crying?
Because she's trying to apologize, and it's all an act. Janice is a manipulator, she took the leg, and now she wants to say it's okay. She wants Svetlana to say, "It's okay, you took the leg. I understand. I accept your apology." But Svetlana ain't having it.
Svetlana doesn't buy it. No, she doesn't buy it. I love how Junior's mad that the doorbell rings. Grand Central State, it's like...
He's such a great character.
Grand Central Station over here. He doesn't like all these people coming in and out, but yet he does like it. He doesn't like being alone either.
That's right. He's not going to be happy. Ralph meets with Father Intintola.
Pleased to meet you. Another line from Sympathy for the Devil. And there's another line later in this. He says, my son is lying in a hospital, hooked up to a machine. He never did nothing to nobody. And he says, were you there when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain? Again, from Sympathy for the Devil.
He says, I feel like a hypocrite. I haven't been here. And he also says, since the baptism, a lot of good that did. And he says, God's punishing my son for all the bad things I did. God doesn't punish. That's a whole nother, like I said, what they must know, the priests, they could write a book. Oh, my God. Could only imagine.
But they're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to unless they leave, I guess, the priesthood. They could write a hell of a book, a hell of a book. I don't know if there's a law if someone confesses. I don't know what that's about. If you confess to killing someone in confession, they may have to fess up.
Maybe not. I mean, a doctor has to, right? Because a psychiatrist is supposed to be in confidence, but they can be forced to testify. But a priest may fall under constitutional, religious rights.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something.
Freedom of religion may take preference over that.
If you're a gossiper, being a priest is a good fucking job, I'll tell you that. If you're into gossip and you don't want to work for the National Enquirer, become a priest. You'll get all the dirt you need. If you're into gossip
and you don't like sex, it's a good job. Right?
When you're on the computer looking you go see a guidance counselor in high school. So what are you interested in, son? Well, I don't like sex.
I like gossip.
I like gossip a lot. I don't like to wear shorts and tank tops. I like to wear a lot of garb, a lot of stuff with high neck collars. Well, son, I think I have the job for you.
I have the perfect job for you.
So he says, let's pray. They pray. I tell you what, Paul Schulte, who plays Father Phil, is just terrific. I buy him as a priest every which way.
Yeah.
He's very comforting, his voice.
Yeah. I guess Ralph is, here's a guy who killed a completely innocent young woman in horrendous fashion in cold blood. Now he's going to see the priest. Now he's talking about what he's done and being punished and this and that. It's a little too late for Ralph, I think.
Well, we've talked about this. A lot of mobsters, a lot of people that have done bad things go to church. We saw Paulie paying the church off like as an insurance policy. A lot of people do that. They go to church every Sunday, and then from Monday through Saturday, they're no good motherfuckers. But they go to church on Sunday, so they think everything wipes away,
Right. And Ralph had done pretty much one of the worst, maybe the worst thing that was done on The Sopranos.
Probably Ralph is the worst character. The most evil character is Ralph.
And why he's kind of alluded to as Satan. That's why.
Soprano kitchen. Carmela's making breakfast. Tony, a scholarship at Rutgers. That's right. Ralph did a scholarship for Rutgers under Jackie Jr.'s name for $20,000. The ex wrote to marry him. She had the presence of mind to say no, and Tony ain't buying it for 1 second. He's full of shit. Tony knows he knows Ralph a long time. They go back as kids. Don't forget.
He knows Ralph. He knows what he's done. He knows about Tracy. He knows about, the weirdness. And Also, AJ here, it's a good kind of reflection of Ralph has a son who's could be a vegetable, who's in the hospital. He has, and there's AJ complaining about French toast.
Yeah.
The bubble that AJ lives in, they really show here. You know what I mean? In the face of all this tragedy and horror, and and also because Tracy's ghost kind of haunts this episode, especially towards the end. Even you see a picture of her. Here's this kid who's just been raised in the lap of luxury, basically, complaining about.
I mean, they really spoil both. They really spoil both of them. I mean, we see Meadow as she gets older gets out of it and becomes upstanding young woman, and
who wants to defend and work for underprivileged people.
And AJ has problems basically the whole way through, finding his footings. I mean, they really have spoiled this kid,
But it's a great moment when Tony he spars with him, fooling around, but then you see him, he's holding him, he kisses him several times in the head, and you just see he's grateful, that his son is healthy, and in the light of what's happened. Jim's great. He plays that really beautifully, I thought.
The Bada Bing back room. Tony sits in his office. Ralph arrives. It's still too
great
soon
scene.
to tell.
Great job by Joey in this, and Jim. Wonderfully acted this scene. Excellent.
Ralph hands Tony a big envelope of cash. Tony looks through it quick. He's very happy. Whenever he gets money, he's ecstatic.
Nice, he says.
All about
he
money.
Said I had to smack the guy around. Nice. And let's remember Ralphie, and one of the reasons why he constantly got passes for doing horrible things and shitty things, he's one of the best earners in the family.
Says, at least I'm good for something. Ralph looks terrible. He's been up all night. His kid is still on the fence, whether he's going to make it or not. Yet he's still out there doing his work, doing his business. Ralph breaks down, very guilty about the son.
His 7th birthday, he was in Miami, high on coke. He didn't call him. He thought he did call him. All the guilt and all the regret now comes up. And Tony, he talks about he's going to get the best care there is. He's covered under the wife's new husband insurance, but Ralphie's going to make up the rest, which means Ralphie probably needs money here. And then Tony's reaction is to bring up the fact that he's seeing his ex-girlfriend, Valentina.
I've told you that he has made so many bad moves, Tony. I mean, this is just the worst timing ever. The kid, his son might die. He's bringing up this fucking Gomada. Who gives a shit about her? Tony doesn't really care about her. She's just another lay to him. And you're going to bring this up. And let me tell you something. Ralphie doesn't say anything. Ralphie's not happy about it.
He says, I got to go to the
later
hospital.
on, I got a feeling this plays into what happens to Piomai somewhat.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He thinks this guy doesn't give a shit about me. It's all about him, and fuck him. Ralphie's not afraid of anybody.
No. Yeah, I'm pouring my heart out to you. My son is dying, and you're telling me about this fucking broad,
Right, and he can't say anything about it because Tony's the boss.
But you see the look on his face. See the look on Ralph's face. No.
Yeah. Ralphie's evil, but he's very smart. And he knows what the deal is. It's all about Tony, and then he doesn't like it.
I know we brought this up. We all root for Tony Soprano. We love Tony Soprano. He's fucking evil in his own right. Selfish, evil, self-centered. He cares for animals.
And then he has moments when he
horses.
does stuff for people. He does come through sometimes.
But it's all
about
his family
and stuff.
Cash.
Which is kind of accurate for the world. It's a business. He says
not
that
unlike
to Paulie.
corporate America.
He says it to Paulie, this is a business. Forget about it. When he says, Paulie says to him, it's the next scene, I think, right?
Yeah. Ralph is leaving. Christopher, Silvio, and Paulie are coming in. They hug him, give their condolences. He bypasses Paulie. They don't.
Right. And he says, fuck him and his alligator tears. Tony says, kid in the hospital.
Alligator
a little fucking
tears.
sympathy.
I think he
Alligator
means,
tears
I
instead
think
of
he means
crocodile,
crocodile tears.
Right. A little fucking sympathy. Again, sympathy for the devil. I, a miserable prick who called Ma at the home. Again, whoever did this, trying to figure out who did this, whatever happened there that was fucked up. I get proof he's a corpse. Nobody's killing anybody. It's a business. You know?
You lay a hand on him, you're going to answer to me. That goes for everybody. But he is in Paulie's face. He's serious, Tony. Do not fuck with the money. He'll just as easily fucking disappear Paulie. There's no loyalty. He don't give a fuck. He'll kill Paulie in a second if it meant him not getting these fat envelopes. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
If you could quote the rules, you can obey them. There's a line drawn about mothers, right? Which there kind of is. You don't fuck around with mothers or daughters.
Look what happened with, Janice. When he had to defend her. If it was Tony's mother that someone made a prank, he would have, called out the troops.
Then he says, "I'll go over to Green Grove and I'll pay my respects. It's been a long time. Oh, Ma, I'll like that."
Which I don't know if he did he?
We never saw that, but why is his mother going to like that? Is that like the boss of boss of the company coming over? Yeah. Junior's house. Junior Melvoin meet with Dr. Zalutsky.
Dr. Zalutsky is played by Ellen Orchid, who is an actress, playwright, stand-up comedian, but also has a PhD in neuroscience and worked at Bellevue.
Really?
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting that they found her to
I'd like to see her stand-up act.
Yeah, me too.
Must be about her patience.
It must be very funny. I'm going to say 3 words, and I want you to repeat them. Boat, flag, shirt. Boat, shirt. Let me give you a hint. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And Dominic's great in this.
Great. Great. And it's really seamless, his acting. And then JFK comes up. Who was the president before? Is it Bush? JFK. That Kennedy keeps coming up. He was getting a haircut. He says,
when Kennedy was shot, yeah.
Do you remember were you born when Kennedy was shot?
No. Were you?
I was in the first grade. And I remember not understanding it. So in the first grade in Brooklyn, PS 163, I told you I went to the same elementary school as the Three Stooges, right?
Did they name it after them eventually or no?
No, it's not Three Stooges.
Three Stooges Elementary. No.
But it's on Benson Avenue and Bay 14th in Brooklyn. I lived right across the street at the time, and they let us out early. And I remember not understanding. Oh, what president? Washington? I remember not understanding at that age. Was I 6 years old or something?
Were they in the same class, the Three Stooges? What was that like?
No, they're different ages. I don't know if Curly went, but Shemp and Mo went there. Absolutely.
And they were related, right? Who was related? Shemp and Mo.
And Curly. Shemp,
Larry
Mo, and
was
Curly. No, Larry was not. Larry Fine.
Shemp, Mo, and Curly were all Howards, right?
They were Howards, and they were in the construction business. Their mother sold real estate up on Hallway Avenue and Bath Avenue, Cropsey Avenue in Brooklyn. There's actually a few houses that they built that are still standing.
The Three Stooges. That's where a lot of their gags came from. They were hitting each other with hammers and who knows what on the job.
With the claw hammer?
That came out of a real incident on a construction site.
But it's true.
Someone said, hey, you guys should do this as an act, a comedy act. This is hilarious.
I think Curly's real name was Jerry, if I'm not mistaken. And he died of a stroke. He was a big partier. Curly.
But there were 2 Curlys, right?
Well, then there was 3 Curlys, substitutions. Curly Joe Besser and the other guy. But the main Curly that everyone knows, he was a big partier. Big partier, dancer, drinker, big, broads.
Big star.
Yeah, broads, but it caught up with him. He had strokes. Mo lived, They got fucked every which way. They never made the money they should have.
They didn't make big money, the Stooges?
No.
Did they stay in Brooklyn or they went out to Hollywood?
No, they went out to Hollywood. But you could look that up. That's the truth. PS 163. Where are we? Okay.
The bedroom, it cuts from, I was getting a haircut.
Bedroom, Tony and Valentina laying in bed. Lois calls. They're in a hotel room, I guess. Tony's sleeping.
In the daytime, in the middle of the morning or afternoon, yeah.
Well, his life is so fucking hectic. I don't even, I don't even know. He sleeps when he can. He comes home when he can. He's gone for days and 24 hours, and it's a very strange lifestyle.
It's like that scene when he moves out and he's living at his mother's house, when him and Carmela are separated. It's great being single. I sleep as long as I want. I wake up when I want. I screw who I want. And someone says, well, what's the difference between that and your normal?
I don't
know.
Something.
It's just a different mindset. But, he's with Valentina. He gets the call. There was a fire, another reference to Satan, I guess. The barn burned down. And she survived, but we did everything we could, but she had to be destroyed. She was too badly burned, which is a horrendous idea, the idea of it. He goes to the barn. Manon Halliburton plays Lois. Great in that scene. She does a wonderful job in that scene great, there. She's really honest. And it's very sad. The horse is covered in a tarp and chained up, and Tony sees the horse and he's, it's just tragic. And the tractor pulls the horse by the chain away. He
looks away. He looks under the canvas, and then looks away. They say they found pieces of a blown out light bulb in a stall, and the hay was a natural accelerant. And he's looking. Tony's suspicious right now. He's looking at the socket. They'll investigate, but it's a formality considering the value of the stock. Tony sees the goat. The goat is looking for Palmice.
Looks right in the camera, the goat. It's very creepy, the eyes.
The goat is looking for his friend, the horse.
And the goat is also the devil, the symbol of the devil. It's a cool shot, the way the goat looks right in the camera that way. It's cool.
Tony's very sad here. Very sad.
Now, let me ask you this, your opinion. Did Ralphie start the fire or hire someone to start the fire?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we don't know for sure.
No, but there's no doubt in my mind.
And apparently, the direction was for Joey to play it that he was innocent. And nobody really said definitively ever if he did or not, but he should play it as if he was innocent. So to the viewer, it could go either way. You could say he's lying and just being a good liar, or he didn't do it and maybe it was an accident. Who knows?
I see Tony looks at the light bulb where the fire started. Tony mentions when he gets to Ralphie's house about what was his name? The guy who burned down Artie Bucco's restaurant. Silvio had hired him. Was it Cocuzzo?
Corky Iannucci.
So he knows his M.O. Corky Iannucci must have his M.O., how he does things.
A light bulb or something.
You could tell Joey does such a great job at in this scene. You could tell he's acting as if he's lying. He's not lying, but he's acting as if he's lying.
He's really good. And this next scene in Ralph's house begins pretty much a half hour linear sequence of scenes. It's very often in a Sopranos episode, you're going from one storyline to another, but starting here, it becomes almost like a mini movie.
Yeah.
For the next half hour.
I did notice that. And
it's really, really cool.
Ralph denies it, but then he says, hey, we're bleeding money. It only makes sense. It was just an animal.
It's a bolt from beyond. This accidental fire is a bolt from beyond. The horse was no fucking good with the colic all the time and the fucking bills.
$200,000 insurance they took out recently because he was going into this toboggan race. So he's saying 100,000 apiece. Like, let it go. Shut up and take your 100,000. I think this is one of those rare moments that Tony Soprano doesn't care about the money. He loved that horse. You know?
He loved that horse, yeah.
And I think Ralphie did it, one, for the money, which is $200,000. One, to stick it up his ass a little about Valentina, showed a real lack of disrespect, telling him while his son is dying in the hospital, telling him like another smack. Not only is he fucking her, but he's got to tell me now. I just gave him who knows how many thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars, yeah.
You know, so I think there's all of that. And the horse was bleeding money. Ralph had talked about that earlier, you know. It looks at it, you know, Tony knocks on the door, Ralph's making eggs. He kind of, you know, is fishing at first, Tony.
He's fishing, and there's some interesting point of view shots from Tony's point of view. You know, cuts from normal kind of coverage. And it cuts from a direct point of view of Tony looking at Ralphie as he's making the eggs. It's really interesting. It just kind of sets a little more tension, getting into Tony's head, watching his hands, kind of Tony's thought process. Yeah, maybe I will have some eggs. And Tony, you know, he just wants to stay, and he wants to probe, and he wants to get to the bottom of what's happening.
He wasn't just going to get out of there. And Ralph's making eggs. I see him. He puts milk in the eggs, which I've seen.
Sour cream.
I've never seen the sour cream. Have you?
He puts sour cream in the eggs. I've never done that. I got to try it.
I've done he puts milk in first.
People put milk, but sour cream, I've never done that.
It makes it fluffy. I have not seen sour cream. You know what? My mother, you know, who was Jewish, and I'm not saying it's a Jewish thing, but she would make me, growing up, sour cream and bananas with sugar. It's so fucking good. I haven't had that. Good. And then sour cream and strawberries.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Really good. Mixed in. Oh, man. I haven't had that. I forgot all about that.
Ralphie's saying we got lucky. The Bills, it was all downhill from here. And Tony's saying, no, she's coming back. She bounced back. And Ralphie doesn't believe it. And he says, you did it. And Ralphie just says, so what? You know, he doesn't say he did it, but so what if I did? I don't hear you complain when I give you envelopes all the time. It was a fucking horse. What are you, a vegetarian? You eat beef and sausage by the carload.
Yeah.
He just doesn't give a fuck, you know.
And he calls him a fat fuck. Well, he calls him a fat fuck.
He just doesn't fucking care. His son is, you know, on death's door, or, you know, his son's in really bad shape. And he kind of is calling him out on his hypocrisy in a way, you know. It's like...
Ralph is very defiant, very defiant.
Yeah, well, he's saying, listen, our business, we try to make money at every angle. However we can do it, we're going to milk whatever situation to its utmost to make as much money, and you're always going to get kicked up. And now he's saying, I'm handing you're getting $100,000 from this deal for doing nothing, basically. Yeah. And it shouldn't be a problem.
Listen, Ralph is a small guy, and he puts up a hell of a fight.
The fight is great. What a great choreography
by
Pete Picozzi, our stunt coordinator, does a really good job. John Chenatiempo also, I think, was involved in that choreography.
He sprays him in the eyes. He sprays him in the
bug
eyes
spray.
with the raid.
David always wanted to use that bug spray thing, and that was finally found a way to use that. He kind of had that in his mind.
I mean, if you got bug spray in your eyes, will you even be able to fight?
I don't know.
I think that might take you down for the count, but he sprays him with the raid. They fight. It really is. I mean, for a minute there, you look like Ralph's going to get the better of him, and Tony finally chokes him, and that's that.
And he starts screaming, she was a beautiful, innocent creature, which in a way can refer to Tracy. Yeah. You know, he's referring to the horse, but in some ways it's also, you're talking about Tracy. She was a beautiful, innocent creature, and he's slamming his head against the floor, choking him. But the obstacle of the bug spray, then Tony kills him, then he's puking, and he puts his hand on the stove, which apparently really happened.
Yeah.
The stove was on throughout the fight. At some point, Jim was closing his eyes, working with the bug spray in his, the fake bug spray, but acting it with his eyes, and put his hand down for real on the stovetop and burned himself. And that reaction, apparently, that's on camera, is real. That's what I've heard.
It looks great. He
calls Christopher,
who's just in the middle of shooting.
Christopher has the worst time. Christopher's timing's always the worst. It's just always off. Christopher's tied off and shooting heroin up his arm. It's morning. It's the morning. He's shooting up heroin.
I need you to call me back from a payphone. You got 3 minutes. Chris nods off. It's about a half hour later. Calls back. He makes up a story. Adriana put the keys. I couldn't find them. Gives him instructions. We got a problem. Come to the contractor's house, meaning Ralph. Pick up gloves, bleach.
This is another great example of soprano writing. Bug spray. So now Tony's kind of half blinded through this. He calls Chris. He needs help. Chris comes over. He's high as fuck, but Tony needs him. He can't send him away. He can't get someone else because he doesn't want anyone else to know what happened.
Maybe Chris shouldn't have answered the phone.
Tony's calling him. He's got to answer. But what I'm saying is, writing this scene, Tony needs Christopher really badly in this scene. And Christopher's high, and they got to find a way to work together. It's hilarious, and it's also just, adding complications to make the scene more interesting, to make it unique, to make it specific. It's a great example of screenwriting.
Now, Christopher comes in. You do a great job showing that you're high. Now, the famous thing, I did that. What's up with that?
That's a very often quoted line, right?
Yes.
And
was it written that way?
No, it's a complete accident. The line is, I didn't. Working on heroin, acting heroin, a lot of it goes to the mouth, the jaw. There's a certain thing that you play. And the way you speak and the way your jaw kind of hangs. So when I delivered the line in that take, my tongue kind of got stuck on, as I'm trying to create that sensation in my mouth, my tongue got stuck on the top of and it just came out like that.
And that was the only time you said it?
Complete accident. Yeah.
But that was the only take that you said it on.
The only take. And Timmy didn't say, the director, Tim Van Patten, didn't say anything until after he was cutting, and he said, that moment when you said it was so weird because it sounds like a child or something. I said that was a complete accident. It was not intentional. But it's become kind of a fan.
Yeah.
One of those lines that the fans quote all the time.
I wanted to ask you about that. That was that has become a famous line. So that was a great mistake.
What I love is also what Christopher shows up and sees Ralphie dead on the floor, and Tony says, I found him like this.
Yeah. He's got blood all over his...
Tony's got his eyes are all fucked up. He's got blood everywhere, and he basically says to Christopher, I found him like this.
Yeah.
The guy was a piece of shit. Whoever did this, again, that's the title of the episode.
Said it should have happened a long time ago. I tried to move him myself, which is why he's saying he's... got the blood on him and stuff. Christopher says he smoked a half a joint.
Tony notices, what the fuck is wrong? Christopher's high off his ass. I smoked half a joint. And later on, which I find really, really funny, right? He confesses to Tony. He said, I snorted a little H. I got home. I wanted to go to sleep. It's like as if it's like taking a melatonin or something. I was up all night. I wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to come down and go to sleep. So I snorted a little H as if that could be acceptable. Like you needed to go to sleep. Sure. Of course you snorted some heroin to get, it's just funny, man. I just think I love when Christopher's putting on the glove and, he's lighting a cigarette and he's just...
Cigarette, the blood everywhere. Jesus. Let me tell you something. What now? They put the, they got to cut up the body, start draining him. Of course.
He grabs the wig, toupee. Comes off. He says you wouldn't know if your mother's muff was on his head. You're so high. It's very funny.
But as a guy like a mob guy, okay, you got to kill people. All right, you're a hitman. Boom, boom. You kill. That's one thing, but cutting up a body is a whole nother.
And he's done it a couple of times. It's also funny when they first sit down at the table together while Ralphie's still on the floor. Christopher has to nudge Ralphie's body over so he can take out the chair. The obstacles that they face it's just kind of hilarious. And he's like, Paulie was in New Paltz, by the way. Christopher tells Tony that. Whoever did this, as if Christopher doesn't believe Tony had anything to do with it.
But they play, but none of them. Christopher never says, "I know it was you." He goes along with it. The boss.
He goes along with it. He goes along with it. And also, he does his job. And they, like you say, when the time comes, they do their job. When Richie Aprile was dead, the boys show up. Federico, Furio, and Christopher show up. It's all business.
This isn't the back of the bada bing, joking, laughing, breaking balls. This is all business. He comes in, he's chopping the hands off. Chopping the hands off. I mean, like I said, it's one thing to shoot someone. It's another thing chopping the hands off, chopping the fucking head off, blood, mopping up, which, of course, if anyone was investigating, never in a million years could they get all that blood out of there. With DNA and shit, not in a million years.
CSI stuff.
And Christopher got no shirt on. He's got the gloves with blood and smoking, and they're watching TV.
I love doing these scenes with Jim. They were really fun. Being in that situation, we're kind of bonding. Time passes, then they're watching TV. He's talking about, the irony of just chopping up somebody you knew and then saying, I was pissed off that she's not able to have kids. I don't know if I'm ready. Look at this shit with Justin. It'll ruin your life. It's like he just chopped up his coworker. And it's like if I just chopped you up and then I'm talking to somebody.
You got a lot of work if you do it.
I used to work with Steve. I chopped him up. Now I'm talking about having kids or grandkids. It's just the.
Tony's eating peanut butter with a knife.
With a knife, and they're watching. They're watching The Last Time I Saw Paris with Donna Reed, which is
they're watching TV. They're having a very heavy discussion. They chopping this fucking guy up. Blood everywhere. They're waiting for it to get dark. They're getting serious. You got to jump in or not jump in.
And you can't be high on skag if you're having kids either. That's another thing.
They put Ralphie's hands and hair in the bowling ball case. They clean up the house. I think they made 4 or 5 heads, molds.
Steve Kelly, did he do that?
Steve Kelly, I believe, has one. Steve Kelly, the our makeup artist extraordinaire, who was a terrific
special effects guy. He's been doing the John Wick and the Matrix now.
Him and Kimbra, his wife. Both wonderful. They were on The Sopranos, I believe, the whole time. Both wonderful people and good friends. And he is terrific. And I think he has a head somewhere. Maybe we could get him to lend up Ralph's head and bring that on. That might be, that's a nice piece of memorabilia. What do you got? Well, I got a signed autograph. I got Ralphie's head. That's pretty good. It's in a bowling ball bag. As we talked about great kills, this is one of the best kills of all the Soprano cast members. Ralph's head in a bowling ball bag might be the best one.
Well, and then it's this whole sequence of events that come after it too. It's great. It's
now.
I really enjoyed doing this. It was one of my favorites.
Well, it's great. It came out great.
Bunch of scenes, but I
now tell us about this. There's a story that goes with this, where they're gonna throw Ralphie's body off the cliff.
The cliff. I think it might have been on the border of Jersey and Pennsylvania. It was far away. We didn't sleep over there. We drove from New York, New Jersey. We drove all the way out there. It was a Friday. We get there. It's about 5 o'clock. It's still daylight. We rehearse on this cliff, and they're gonna have a camera down in the creek in a boat looking up at us. They're gonna have cameras up on the top of the cliff with us. They're gonna light this. It was a state park. They're gonna light the park. It's a big production value thing, and we gotta wait till it's night. So they're like, you're gonna have a few hours, guys. Go get made up, get into wardrobe, relax. So we go to Jim's trailer. Me and Jim and Mitch Burgess was on set. So Mitch comes in the trailer and we're sitting around and Jim opens a bottle of wild turkey. It's Friday night. We'll figure, let's have a drink. We got a long wait. Finally, a couple hours later, someone knocks on the door. It's time to shoot. The bottle's empty.
Oof.
Empty. Mostly drunk by Jim and I. We stumble out of Jim's trailer.
I mean, are you really fucking drunk? Bombed.
Plastered. We drank a whole bottle of wild turkey. Bombed. Stumbling towards the cliff, and everyone's like, whoa, because they're worried. We have to get to the edge to throw this bundle, whatever was in the...
Nobody was annoyed.
They may have. I don't know.
They did say that.
Too drunk to know. We were too drunk to notice. We wouldn't have cared if they were annoyed at that point. But they were worried that we're going to fall off this cliff. There won't be no season 5. So they chained us. They took chains wrapped around our ankles and tied us to trees and covered the chains up with leaves. So, and you could kind of see when we get out of the car, we look a little fucked up. We're a little rough around the edges. So we get to the edge, we throw it off, and we're chained up to the cliff, chained to the trees.
You don't have much dialogue, thank goodness. You don't have much to say.
Well, I think that's why we started drinking, because we figured, well, all we got to do is get out of the car and throw the thing off. It wasn't like a big, long 5-page scene of dialogue you had to remember and beats and create crafting moments and stuff. It was just get out of the car, throw the body off. So we were like, let's have a drink. It turned into a lot of drinks.
Now everybody's going to go back everyone's going to go back and watch this scene, and they're going to see the two of you guys are bombed. Did you go out afterwards and continue to drink?
No, we shot. I think it was an all-night thing. I don't think we got out.
That is a great story.
And it was like a 3-hour drive back to New York City.
Oh, that is a great story.
That was it. We might have went to my bar. My bar was always open, right? Pretty much. I had the keys.
Yeah,
it was open till 4. On the weekends, we'd lock the door at 4 and stay. Friends would stay till later. But I also had the keys.
Well, we used to stay 5, 6, 7 in the morning.
On the weekends?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Tony says, listen, I've done drugs when I was younger. I even did coke with you. And Christopher goes, you're acting like I'm some kind of skeevy junkie. I only do it once in a while. Don't throw it away on drugs.
As they throw half a body off a cliff.
The drugs are terrible, but murdering, chopping up the body, not so bad. So stay off the drugs. He doesn't say, hey, listen, don't go around killing people. Watch who you kill, watch who you chopped up, but stay off those drugs. There is such a hypocritical, contradictory coat of armor. That's
the beauty of the show. That kind of.
And that was his Palmice farm.
Mikey Palmice's father.
Is this the father?
It's his farm. And Tony knows that the father's in the VA hospital right now, getting some operation or something like that. And they try to dig a hole to bury the head now. They only have the head and the hands, but the ground is frozen. Christopher hot wires the backhoe. And Tony knows how to drive the backhoe. Christopher doesn't know what he's doing. Tony knows how to drive it from working with his father or grandfather and doing construction when he was a teenager. Tony digs the backhoe. Christopher makes the sign of the cross before he puts the head and hands into the ground, which I found
again contradictory.
Very interesting.
That
shit fucks up your eye-hand coordination.
He says his grandfather was a guy who used to let me fuck around when I was just 13. Tony, he likes a cigar. There's a lot of, they're not very careful. They're kind of a sloppy getting rid of the body. It's kind of sloppy. There's way, they could get the cigar. They could, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of DNA. If someone was looking to catch them, you could get caught here. That's all I'm saying. I know it's a TV show, but,
There is.
They're not, Bada Bing back room. Tony and Christopher arrive. They have a drink. Tells Chris to burn the clothes.
And Christopher says, here's the problem as I see it with Ralph getting whacked. People could take it the wrong way. Friends of ours, like it could happen to them. You're the only one that knows about it.
A veiled threat. An absolute veiled threat.
And foreshadowing.
Yeah.
People could take it the wrong way. It could happen to them. Well, it happens to Christopher.
You're the only one that knows about it, And then Chris goes, we were right to disappear him. He gave him a warning. It's a veiled warning, a veiled threat. They take showers. Tony falls asleep.
This is the dressing room of the strippers, basically.
Yeah.
That's where they are. This is the Bada Bing dressing room.
Tells Tony to... Tony tells Chris, burn the clothes, takes a nap, wakes up, Chris is gone. Where Chris went to get high, I'm assuming.
Or maybe he's out back burning the clothes.
I don't think so. I think he's gone. He went to get high. No? That's what I was thinking. Junior's house. Junior picks up the newspaper.
Is Junior performing for the feds because he knows they're out there watching, or is he starting to lose it, or both?
I'm not sure, but I think he's starting to lose it. I think this shows real dementia. I don't think this is an act. I could be wrong. You got Agent Harris and then the other guy out there.
He goes to his neighbor and asks for ice cream.
She goes, wait here. She's going to go get some. She answers the door with her child. She knows him, Mr. Soprano. Then the Russian nurse, Branka, come back in the house to catch cold. She brings him a coat. I was getting the paper. I do not think this is an act. I'm not quite sure. The Bada Bing, Tony wakes up. He's looking for Christopher, looks at himself in the mirror. Picture of Tracy is one of the pictures on the mirror.
And you remember when we see Tracy, I think for the first time, she's referred to as a thoroughbred. And again, another reference to when he says she was a creature.
Silvio calls her a thoroughbred.
Silvio says that. And Tony wakes up. It's great the way Jim plays it. His eyes are still stinging from the raid. He's still playing with that. He kept it going. He's great in this episode, Jim. He's working with a lot of physical stuff.
Joey Pants great in this episode. Joey great.
And then he, I love he's wearing a Bada Bing t-shirt, but he walks out the back door and it's like this blast of white light. That's where she was killed, right outside that back door. That's where Tracy was killed. So there's definitely this karmic, I think, connection between Ralphie and Tracy, and he's getting paid. And the music is The Man with Harmonica by Apollo 440, originally written by Ennio Morricone. And with my hand around the white man's throat, digging, digging, digging. There's some of the lyrics in that song, which obviously are
Joey Pants, who has been one of the one of the best character actors we've ever had. I mean, he's done some great stuff, and he proves it here. This is a really
he deserved the Emmy for this
really good episode. But tell me the truth: were you motherfucking him under your breath when they go best supporting actor is? You're on the edge of your seat. Joseph Pantoliano. And did you go motherfucker? Did you do that?
I didn't do that, but yeah, you want to win, then you don't. The thing is, I was nominated a few times and didn't win, and twice for the Golden Globe, didn't win. In the moment, you're a little bit, you wish you won, and then the next day you forget about it.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's one of those things, the next morning it's over. I told you that story with the night I won with my wife with the Emmy. Did I ever tell that on this show?
I don't know, but tell me.
Like I said, we won Best Show. Dre won, so it was a great night for us. We had a big party.
I was there.
HBO, HBO threw us a big party. It was a lot of fun, and then we went back to the hotel.
And we were at the hotel bar,
And then my room.
Then your room, it was late and ugly.
I have pictures. Late and ugly. Finally, my wife and I are getting ready for bed. It's like 5 a.m. And she says to me, you know, you win the Emmy. I'm not impressed. Everyone's kissing your ass, and it's a big deal that you won or whatever, but I'm not really impressed. And if you had any balls, you'd take that Emmy and throw it in the garbage. And I said, really? And I'm a little, by 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, I don't give a fuck. And I took the Emmy, I put it in the garbage pail, and we go to sleep. And we sleep till who knows when. The next morning, we wake up, and the first thing she says to you, she says, make sure you take that Emmy out of the garbage.
Hey, I want to see those pictures.
The Emmy spent its first night in the garbage pail.
I want to see those pictures.
I got them. I got pictures of me and Johnny and Dre and.
We need those for the book. Behind the scenes, we need to for our book coming out this fall.
You know what is a big thrill for me that night, and I have pictures backstage of me and Al because Pacino won for Angels in America that year. When they call my name, when I get up on my way, I go right up to Al because he was sitting right near me, and I think I high-fived him or something. But then backstage, Al won right after me, I think, and I have pictures of us with Emmys backstage, and he was really sweet and gracious, and those pictures that was a big thrill that he won the same night. I think that was his first Emmy.
That's great, man. That was great. Hey, I remember we had a ball, we partied, and I couldn't have been happier. Seriously, I couldn't have been happier for you. That was really good. We had a good time. The party kept on. At some point, I had to drop out. Me and my wife had enough.
I hear you.
Great episode. Now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question is Michael from Vail, Colorado, and we're sending Michael a pair of Bose headphones.
Michael asks, do you believe therapy actually helped Tony, or did it just make him a better liar, like Dr. Melfi ponders at the end of the series? Good question, Michael. What do you think, Steve?
Well, they say, sometimes therapy, you're working on guys are con men. They don't tell the whole truth. They go to therapy, and you're only going to get something out of it if you come clean. What's really bothering you? And a lot of people don't. So I think a guy as smart as Tony and street smart and certainly a very intelligent guy, I think he may have manipulated Melfi.
Well, I agree. And I think that's the probably predominant thing. But remember the episode with the soccer coach. When they find out that he was having an affair with the student, or, statutory rape, or did he rape? I don't know I think that's what it was. And they want to kill him. Mm-hmm. And he has a scene or maybe two with Melfi. And he decides, remember, he comes home drunk, really drunk. He's singing and dancing late at night. And Carmela comes down and he falls on the ground laughing. And he says he didn't do it. And I think he kind of refers to Melfi or something.
Yeah, she saved his life. It's the last scene of the episode. Yeah.
So I will make that as a case that something did get through at times.
I find Melfi sometimes poking him and poking him like a bear. And, I think Tony thinks that Melfi could cure him of whatever. She has the answers. Like, make this go away. When are you going to fix this? I think that's what Tony feels. Like, you fix this. Right. Can't you say something to make me feel better? Can't you, and she keeps going back to the mother and the mother and the mother. And he gets disgusted and frustrated. But I think he is looking at therapy as she's going to fix this somehow.
Right, but part of her thing is that at the end of the day, he's a gangster. Like when Carmela goes to see Sully Boyer, goes to see that psychiatrist played by Sully Boyer, and he says, "You can't negotiate your way out of this. You know, there's nothing I can say to you that's going to make you better adjusted to your life. The problem is your husband's a cold-blooded killer.
Yep.
And if you want to save your life and your kids, you'd go now."
Absolutely.
You can't have it both ways. He basically says, so you can't have it both ways. You can't have this, benefit from this lifestyle and this blood money and have me say a few words that are going to make you feel good about yourself. It doesn't work that way. And I think Kupferberg kind of alludes to that a bit too, doesn't he? To Melfi, saying you can't benefit this guy because whatever you say to him, tomorrow he's going to go, unless you say to him and suddenly he says, I can't be a gangster anymore because I've realized, the stakes, and I've realized, what it really means.
You've been to therapy. They don't have all the answers. They're looking for you to have the answers.
I haven't done much therapy, a little, very, very little. I think therapy's, there are answers, sure. I mean, they can steer you towards solutions to problems, way to address certain problems. There's certain things that, people, burdens that secrets that people hold, memories that they've never dealt with, trauma, that, to talk about things in a therapeutic environment and have somebody who, absolutely.
I mean, they give you advice. They give you advice, but there's people, and I've read.
What do you mean answer? Like answer to what?
Well,
why?
I think,
but even if they did.
So if I go in there, Michael, if I go in there and I say, listen, I'm fucking, seriously, just whatever. I'm angry all the time. I'm pissed. I'm this, I'm that. I have a drinking problem, whatever. What is the therapist going to say to fix me? To make me feel better?
They can give you tools on how to deal with your anger. The answer is, well, you're angry because your mother did blah, blah, blah. That's not necessarily going to solve your problem. What could solve your problem is ways to deal with your anger. If you go in and you say, when I drink, I get angry and nasty, and me and my wife fight, and then we go to bed and we make up in the morning, but it's been happening more often, she could say, well, maybe you need to
stop drinking.
Go to AA. Yeah. Or deal with drinking. Well, I don't drink that much. I have 2 drinks with dinner, but I do wind up, and maybe 2 drinks aren't, sure, they can give you a perspective and a way to handle your problem. But
I don't think, I think Tony is looking for a quick fix, even though it's been years.
In some ways, he's looking for a lot of scenes with Melfi. It seems he's looking for a validation or like, it's okay that you did this, Tony, because you have so much pressure, or your mother was a nut and your father was a criminal, and there's no reason. But is that an excuse for bad behavior? You have to go beyond the excuse.
Absolutely.
And try to transcend the trauma of your childhood and
I think it did help him some. I mean, I think it.
I agree.
Understand the depression, and then later on, seasons later with AJ and his depression, I think it does make him more compassionate towards that.
I agree.
Stuff. But it's a good question.
It's a
very
great
good question, Michael from Vail. Very, very good. And you will be getting a Bose headphones sent to you in Vail, Colorado. I assume you're a skier if you're there. I don't know.
I've been to the film festival there. It was
nice there, right?
I won a Renegade Award at the Vail Film Festival.
For?
Being
Sopranos?
a renegade, Steve.
Well, you are a renegade. You're a Buddhist
being a
renegade
in life.
You're a Buddhist renegade.
A Renegade, that's Steven Van Zant's company, right? Production company?
I think so.
Renegade Productions, I think.
Yeah. Renegade Nation, is it? No, I don't know.
Renegade Nation. He is a renegade. Without a
thanks
doubt.
for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. And right now, you can get our official Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel. One more thing, Michael, real quick. I just want to say, People have been asking, I think I've said this before, when are you going to get this character? When are we going to get that character? We've got a long way to go. We will try to have everyone on. We are doing the best we can. So be patient. We're halfway there. We got 40-something episodes to go, folks. All right?
All right. Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Producers Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by the great Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Schirripa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, New York's premier podcasting studios. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production. Great Soprano episode.
Great episode. Great stories. Good talking to you. Thank you. And I will see you soon, my friend.
All right.